New England's hottest.
What's good? It's your boy, Benny Blades, and welcome back to the Blades and Friends podcast. This is season 2, episode 1. And look who we got. Listen, if you don't know this guy, something's wrong with you.
I don't know me.
You don't know yourself?
Not really. That's why I'm in therapy.
You are going to get to... This is therapy right now, motherfucker. You're about to get to know yourself, Mr. This is Mr. John Perrotta. This is one of the #1 comedians to ever come out of New England. All right? And I am...
Rhode Island.
Why not? You don't want to go to New England?
Maybe New England. There's some big guys in New England. Rhode Island, I'm
I
in
said
the mix.
one. I said one of the best.
Rhode Island, I'm in the mix. But New England, there's a lot of... That's a lot of... You know what I mean, Ben?
Yeah, no, I think you're being modest. I think you're definitely one. All right, yeah, you're one of the top in Rhode Island, but I would say New England. We've got some big comedians, but I think you're on the way there.
I'm going to be 64 in February, bro.
You better hurry the fuck up, guy.
If I'm on the way there, I better get there pretty quick.
You better.
Man.
You're like almost dead, so you better.
That's what I'm saying.
You better hurry up.
I'll be telling jokes from St. Anne's.
Well, luckily, you have a big show coming up. I heard December 17th.
Yes.
You have the good fortune of doing a show that is being co-hosted by myself, and I'm co-hosting it with the man, the myth, the legend, Jerry Tillinghast. And we have Brian Vince. So it's a Christmas comedy night. It's at Skyline at Water Place in Providence, Rhode Island. And we have Brian Vincent performing. We have this guy performing, and then we have DJ Eddie the Fixer ending off the night. And me and the big guy, Jerry, are going to be hosting the event all night. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, you can hit up me. You can hit up Jerry. Grab your tickets fast because you don't want to miss this night because this dude is a funny-ass dude. And Brian Vincent's a funny guy, too. And me and Jerry are going to have you guys laughing all night, too. So make sure you go, December 17th. All right, so let's talk about you. So let's get into your story, man. I like to always start off my interviews with, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Cranston, Rhode Island, but not just Cranston, Rhode Island, by the Narragansett Brewery. So 2 stories about the brewery, never mind Cranston.
What do you got? Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have an older friend, and he worked there, and he would come out and put cases of beer on near the railroad tracks.
That's the best friend ever. Are you serious?
We were like 14, 13 years old.
What?
We'd go over to the railroad tracks.
He was giving you cases at 14?
Oh, yeah, and we'd grab the cases of beer.
Is.
Then there was a guy that worked, the older guy. He was always lit up, always drunk. And I was 14 years old. One day he says, come on in the brewery. He actually invited me in the brewery, and they could drink when they weren't working. He invites me in the brewery. I'm 14 years old. If this happened today, they'd arrest him, right?
Yeah, I was going to say,
14 years old.
He sounds like a creep, this guy a little
invites
bit.
me in the brewery. He's got a keg of beer going, and I'm drinking. I'm standing in Narragansett Brewery. So, yeah, my upbringing was a little different.
Wait, so back in the day when they worked in breweries, they could drink beers while they were working?
In the 70s.
What?
According to what they told me, unless they were just doing it.
No, I
But
believe
according to the word, what they told me, when they were working, they let them drink. So a few of them, my next door neighbor, he never drank, I don't think, 'cause he was never. But the guy across the street, he always was lit. Every time I saw him.
All right, so let's talk about when did you get into comedy? Like, who was your who's the first comedian that you saw? Who's your favorite comedian? Let's start right there.
Well, I always loved Don Rickles. I used to watch him years ago when I was a kid on TV, like Ed Sullivan, different shows, and he would work the audience and bust everybody up. And me and my father would die laughing. I loved Don Rickles. That was and I eventually met him at the Warwick Musical Theater. Went up to the fence, talked to him for a while. He actually sent me an autographed picture. I don't know where it is to this day. I don't know what happened. But Don Rickles was cool. I loved him,
That's awesome. Okay, so now were you like when you were growing up, like as a kid, were you always a ball buster? Was that a part of your life?
I was always in trouble. I was the only child, always in trouble, always in detention, always getting in trouble in school from first grade. From actually nursery school, I used to go with the nuns where my grandmother worked, and then I went to first grade all the way through 12th grade. Trouble, always in trouble. Class clown, making people laugh and just crazy.
So now, the funny part about me is that I was never a ball buster before. Like I couldn't take a joke, and then I was, I was a criminal doing my thing, and I was just so used to everyone wanting the things I had that everyone was like a yes man around me. I could not take a joke to save my life. But when I went to college, that's when I met dudes that were Italian dudes, and I was mad cool with them, and they were the most vicious ball busters there were, and they eventually broke me out of that and taught me, like, you can never take yourself too seriously. You should always be able to laugh at yourself and be humble, and ever since then, I mean, I'm still a work in progress. I still sometimes get but I'm definitely a way thicker skin, and now I love it. Like, I love busting balls, but sometimes I do it too much. You ever do that? Like, because you must do it in normal life too, like at the grocery store. Hey, you know what I mean? Like, and then you say something. You know what's the worst is these kids nowadays. The kids in their 20s. I don't know if you've dealt with them. Like, if you're at a store or something like that. Oh my God, they cannot take a joke. Start learning how to take a joke, kids in your 20s. But all right, so now what? So Don Rickles was your favorite guy. So then, when did you think, hey, I can do this shit? I want to do this.
To tell you, when I was young, I was thinking of getting into acting. We used to put plays together in my neighborhood, so I wasn't really thinking comedy. And then I started watching. What
kind of neighborhood was that? It was kind of a soft neighborhood.
Yeah, soft neighborhood.
You guys are making plays?
I was doing plays, man.
Just kidding.
That was a little weird, but I was doing that. Then I got into watching the comedy, and I never really thought of being a comedian, but I went in the Navy, traveled a lot, and there were guys who used to tell me, you're crazy, you're funny, you're going to get into comedy. They wrote in, like, we had like a yearbook, like you got to high school. We had a book with our pictures in the Navy. Everybody signed, you got to get into comedy. I was always making people crack up, but I never really
that's cool.
thought of getting into comedy, knew how to get into comedy. I didn't even think about it, really.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's what made you get into it, was people telling you?
People telling me, and then the funny part is, I don't drink anymore. I'm in recovery, but I was in a rehab, and I think it was around '83. I was in a rehab, pretty big rehab, and they were having a talent night. Not many people get their start in a rehab. They're doing a talent night.
Get out of here.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to do comedy.
Was it one from around here?
It was in Newport, Rhode Island. It was called Edgehill, a place in Newport, Rhode Island. So they had a good-sized auditorium, and it was pretty filled up. And I wrote a little act, and people were doing different things. I got up and did the comedy, and I really did well. But now where do you go from there? You do comedy at a rehab. What's your next move, right?
I'll be out in a month, so I'll try it. I'm hitting all the AA circuit. What did the other people do? What the hell?
They were singing. Who was playing the piano? They were doing all waggle stuff,
How bad were some of them?
I don't remember. I just remember that I got laughs, and you get addicted when you do comedy. You hear the laughter. It's like a drug. You get addicted to it. Wow, it makes you feel good. And then in '83. I decided at '84 I'd get up at Periwinkle's Comedy Club in Providence. They had an open mic. It's closed now. They had an open mic. Frank O'Donnell used to run it, Charlie Hall. So I got up at the open mic, and the first time I got up, I did really well. I had a nice rhythm going. I had a lot of laughs. I said, wow, this is good. And then I got up 2 more times, Ben, totally bombed. And I was like, forget this, right? And nobody kind of took me under their wing. So for 8 years, I walked away. And I didn't know it was a comedy boom in Boston and Providence and all kind of work for even newer comedians. I had no clue. I just walked away. And then I came back in '91. I went to a show at the Comedy Connection. There was a big Boston comic, Jonathan Katz, funny guy. And I'm sitting there, I got to try this one more time.
Didn't he have a cartoon
show,
that was
Dr.
him?
Katz, I think, on Comedy Central. He was hilarious.
Yeah. He's a comedian from Boston?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but this is
I remember
like 30
that guy.
years ago.
Yeah.
Funny guy. And then I took Frank O'Donnell had a comedy class. There was a place called the Learning Connection. There was a little book with all different kind of classes. And I saw stand-up comedy. I said, I'm gonna take it. And I took it. There were 20 students, and 30 years later, I'm the only one left. And, I took it, and I got up on stage. Same thing happened again. I did really well. I had about 40 friends and family there. I did really well. And then I get up the second time. This guy booked me, Brian Deary. He booked shows then. And he booked me to be at the Bonneview in Narragansett, Rhode Island, to MC the show and do like 10 minutes of comedy. So I figured I'll do the same stuff I did at Periwinkle's Comedy Club. I got a lot of laughs. I'll do that. Full house, the night before Columbus Day, I get up. They had a pin drop. I did all the same jokes. I'm sweating. I got my brother, people in my family. I'm standing there.
Wait,
like,
why did no one laughed?
No one.
Why? Not
Not
even
anybody.
your
Nobody.
family?
Nobody laughed.
Wait, why?
That wasn't funny.
But there's something to that though, because if you perform the same exact jokes as the last time, and your family laughed at them last time, they probably didn't want to laugh because no one else was
For
laughing.
whatever reason, what worked the first time, and then but the whole point is I was at a crossroads, the same thing that happened before.
Again.
I did good, then I bombed. Now what do I do to it? And then I read a couple of books that Frank O'Donnell gave us, a stand-up comedy by Judy Carter was a book. I read that, and basically, you're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna have good nights. You're gonna have really bad nights. It takes a while to get consistent.
Yeah.
So I started going to open mics. And I got in a contest in Rhode Island, funniest comic in Rhode Island. You know, a lot of the newer comedians, and Eddie Galvin's very funny. He won it, and I came in second.
Nice.
Which kind of told me, well, maybe I gotta stick with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was up and down, and I stuck with it, and little by little over the years, I got more consistent, and I got a pretty good act. But I didn't do like what I do now in my act. I did political humor when I started. Back then, you could do political humor. I did
Yeah.
a lot of political humor. I did stuff like that, but my act changed over the years.
Now let me ask you a question. When you bombed, and this, you're right. Everyone must go through that.
My foot went through the stool. Is that comedy, or do I got a lawsuit here?
Yeah, you're not gonna get far with
I'm
that.
not gonna get too far
I'm
with that.
broke. So if you want to sue me for oodles and noodles, I got you. I got like 4 or 5 I can give you on the way up. No. So when you bombed, how long were you going for? Like you were up there, you knew you were bombing, and you still had like
I
5
got
minutes
paid
left.
$25 to do 10 minutes, so I had to come close to that.
Man,
So I was
10
up there.
minutes and you knew it was going bad.
Bad. I thought I was on a Titanic. Bad. I was sinking.
No.
I hit an iceberg. It was,
What? How did you keep going?
I just kept trying, and maybe the next thing they'll laugh at, and the next thing. And
They were just sitting there like.
yeah, it was a full room, Ben. And as it go, I mean, then you're starting to sweat. Now you're thinking.
Like how many people?
Bond View was full. I don't know, 100 people. Whatever. Oh
man!
I couldn't get one laugh out of 100 people.
Man!
So I mean, I could have walked away again and said, you know what?
Oh my
But
God!
the bottom line is, being a stand-up comic, you get into comedy. I mean, some people, I know people. There's a comic, Stephanie Peters. She came out of the box like 5 months into it. She was on Dennis Leary's Comics Come Home.
That's crazy.
She on HBO. She was in Marshall's A Woman Comedy. She won that competition. Wow. She was on TV. I saw the clips last week.
Wow.
So she came out of the box and was headlining like fast. And other people, me, it took a while. I had a it's like a boxing match.
Yeah.
You get a punch
I mean,
in.
that's like anything, though. I don't think there's anything you can. Nothing. Even if you start a construction job, you're not going to be. If you don't know, you can't read a tape.
Yeah.
And they teach you like
It's going to take time. Some people come right out of the box and they got it, and other people.
Not many though, to be honest.
Not many.
Not many.
Comedy, you got to be willing to pay your dues. You got to be willing to go to the open mics. You got to be willing to work for nothing. Maybe get $25. It takes time. If you get into it for money, it takes time. You're not going to make money in comedy unless you're really unbelievable. Most people don't make money for a while.
Yeah.
When I started getting paid $100, I was like, wow, I'm doing something I love, and to give you $100, I thought it was unbelievable. To this day, like 30 years into it, when I get paid, every time I think it's the greatest thing in the world that I got paid doing something that I love, because I've had many jobs and I didn't like too many of them.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about, you mentioned your style of comedy. So you said at first your style was more political humor. Yeah. And I agree. Yeah, we live in such a cancel culture that's
that wouldn't go now.
No. But let's talk about what your style evolved to, or what it is now. Tell everyone, and I know what it is, but tell them what you call your style and what your style now is all about.
Well, when I started, a little bit I went into the crowd. Like my first night at Periwinkle's, somebody dropped the tray, and there was Joe Malacone was the banker back then. He took off and took like $30 million and disappeared for 2 years. So when they dropped,
here?
Yeah, he was from. You never heard of Joe Malacone?
No.
Look him up. He was from Providence. He was a banker.
What
He
did
was
he
a
do?
banker. He was a banker, and he was wheeling and dealing, and he took off for like.
He's a Bernie Madoff type dude?
30 million missing. Long story.
Damn.
Nice guy though.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get, he's a nice guy.
30 million and
Yeah,
when?
so-
Back in the 70s?
Early 90s.
As president of Heritage Loan and Investment, which used to be here on Federal Hill, Joseph Malacone's methodical theft from his own bank tipped the first domino in a cascade that crippled the state.
Somebody dropped a tray of drinks, and I said, Joe Malacone, come on, chill out. And everybody went nuts. So that was my first taste of kind of working in the audience a little, or capitalizing on what's going on around me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got more of a laugh on that than the stuff I was working hard at. And little by little, a little more crowd work here and there. And I started figuring out, that works for me. The jokes I write, a little bit, but not.
So now
you know?
you saying you kind of, so at first you would like freestyle, because you can't write jokes about fucking people you've never seen before.
No, mostly I used to come up with also political humor and a bag of props. I would have all kind of different stuff. Arlene Violet was the Attorney General. I used to throw on a wig and glasses, turn around and do Arlene Violet. I was crazy. I had a bag with all wacky stuff. And I did it. Now I don't have any of that stuff, you know. But I started working, busting in the audience little by little. And what happened back in the 90s, there was comedians at bachelor parties. They would hire them left and right. And some weekends I do 3 of them, you know what I mean? Like I do 20 minutes, I was building my time. But they didn't want to hear any jokes. But if you started busting the guy up in the front or the groom or this guy, it was getting more laughs. So then I started figuring, that's how I built my act in the audience, mixing with the audience by doing bachelor parties.
Oh, wow.
A lot of comedians don't want to do them, but you kind of got to be tough to do
Why
them.
Why don't they want to do
Well, because they eat them up. The guys in the audience, if they're drunk, you know, they can be crazy. I got one bachelor party story. I was at the Edgewood Yacht Club, and I always did really good at bachelor parties. This one night, there was a lot of bikers, a lot of guys were crazy, and I'm busting, and I always got away with it, no problem. That night, this biker, he must have been 7 feet tall, gigantic, and I weighed 250 at the time.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what I weigh now, but I weighed 250. The biker comes up to me. I got the mic. We're at the Edgewood Yacht Club by the water. He picks me up. He's got me in the air, and I got the mic. And I'm still trying to tell jokes. He walks over to the window now.
Hucks you out the window?
No, not yet. He goes up to the window. There's water out there, and I can't swim. So now I'm thinking to myself, you went in the Navy, you got through 4 years there without drowning. Now you're doing a bachelor party, and you're going to drown. This guy's going to throw you in the water. They're going to all laugh. Nobody's going to know I can't swim, and I'll be drowning.
They'll think you're he's just kidding, he can't swim.
So I was literally... Like, that was like one of the scariest moments of
Wait,
life.
so what happened? He finally put you down?
He put me down. He was laughing. All the guys were laughing. It was like
he was just fucking with you?
Oh, yeah, he was fucking with me.
Oh,
but,
man.
Let me tell you, it gave me a stroke. That was the craziest moment of my whole comedy career. So he puts me down. They're all laughing. I've seen that guy 3 or 4 times through the years. I see him. I wave, how you doing, buddy? I walk fast.
Oh, really?
I get away from him. He might throw me on Middle Spring Ave. He might throw me into traffic.
When he sees you, does he give you a look like?
I just wave at him, and he kind of laughs, you know.
Hey, what's up, guy?
I say to myself, try to pick me up now. Now I'm 300.
What's up now?
He'd probably be able to do it too, Ben, you know.
If he was that big, if he was 7 foot something.
Oh, he was big. Big dude.
Now, has anyone else ever got mad? Is that like, is that the worst story you got with someone getting mad?
You know, this all happened years ago, because the last many years, I got a way of working the audience. I don't get people, at least they don't come up to me and say, hey, you're mad at this, mad at that. But this one guy was mad at, I did a show in Foster in the middle of nowhere. Luckily, I had a lot of friends there.
Wait, you got a problem in Foster, Gloucester?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, that night I did. The guy comes up to me, gets right in my face. He's like this close from nose to nose. I got the mic, so I said, I'll just keep doing my act.
Wait a second. He's this close to you? You just... Yeah, so anyways, look at this guy. Look at that. Can you look at that guy,
like
please?
This right here. His nose is touching like a centimeter from my nose. And I'm saying, this guy's going to whack me, or I'm going to have to whack him. And luckily then, I don't know, he got away. And then it turns out he was getting divorced. He was all messed up, and he wanted to buy everybody a drink. He apologized.
What?
Yeah, but those are my 2 crazy stories, you know, doing comedy. But it's been years and years. Like I goof with the audience, I have a good time, and I don't have any trouble. You know, it's been so long, because I think doing it so long, you kind of learn. You can't cross the line. You can go up to the line, but you don't cross the line. Like I do a bit about, I'll talk about me being overweight, and then I'll point to a big guy and say, you know, I'll do some jokes about us being chubby, and he's laughing all the time. They laugh. Now I don't go to a woman that's overweight and start picking on her, because now you're crossing the line.
Oh my
God! But if,
God.
like, say you're overweight and I start, hey Ben, you know, I start busting you up, and it works.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You got to know what works and what doesn't. And by getting on stage a lot, you learn, right? You can't do this, you can't do that, you can do this. So I don't have anybody picking me up, throwing me in the water anymore, or getting in my face. Like, that doesn't happen, you know?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Not saying it will never happen, but I don't get that.
I mean, it might happen December 17th, and we're right on Water Place, so I mean, I can line that up for you if you want.
I don't want to get thrown in the water, man.
Have a guy I was in college with say that you were talking shit about him or something. Some big black guy just huck you in the fucking water. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we're gonna pause for a second so you can hear about all my sponsors. Okay, first up, we got Big Ev Entertainment. They've been my sponsors for a long time, so huge shout out to them. They've been making some big moves, and they got some real big announcements coming soon. Next up, we got another long-time sponsor, Aftermath Alternatives. They're a one-stop shop for all things vape and CBD related. They also have a wide variety of the best-selling disposables, and they are located at 633 Park Ave in Cranston, Rhode Island, and their phone number is 401-461-1378. And we're back. All right, man. So everybody wants to know the answer to the big question. And the big question is, are you gonna bust Jerry Tillingham's balls the night of the event?
Well, when you guys booked me for the show, Jerry asked me, "What are you gonna do? How did it go? That conversation?"
He said, so whose balls are you gonna bust that night? And you went, not you, Jerry.
I was trying to be funny there, but I'll bust Jerry up. I'll bust him up.
All right.
I'll bust him up.
So you're putting that out there that you are definitely busting Jerry T's balls.
I'll bust him up a little bit.
Now, have you learned how to swim since you didn't know how to swim back in the day?
No.
Jerry, there you go. He gets too lippy. We're putting him right in water place. You can get a water fry, get a little water fry going, get all laugh at you. Actually, yeah, just grab onto the water fry. They're like in the middle of the water there, so just try to doggy paddle over to one of them and be all right. Now, what are some big shows that you have coming up? You do a place called Lemongrass. You do that all the time, right?
Yeah, lemongrass.
Or not all the time, but
Well, we do about 80 a year, lemongrass. Yeah.
And where's that
That's
place
in
at?
in Warwick on Post Road. We do the all you can eat, all you can laugh dinner comedy show. We have the Chinese buffet in the show. We also do the Carriage Inn, North Kingstown. We do that like 6 times a year.
Nice.
And we got a couple of New Year's Eve shows, Carriage Inn, and we also have the Pub on Park in Cranston. You know, DJs, comedians, buffet, the whole 9 yards.
Strippers?
No strippers. But they can come if they want, but we don't have any right now. We don't have any booked right now, Ben. But if you know any,
I do.
send a couple. You know some strippers.
Of course I do.
Now you tell me we're on the air. You tell me you know strippers.
Nah. We love strippers. If you're watching this and you're a stripper, we love you. Keep doing what you do. What are some of the biggest shows that you've done? You said you've worked with Bill Burr. What was it like working with Bill Burr back in the day?
Well, I worked with Bill Burr when I started in the early 90s. He used to do open mics, and I booked him at the old McDonald's Chicken Farm at Swansea to MC, and he was funny. But like I said, who knows who's going to wind up blowing up? And then next thing I know, it was 2004, and I look up and Bill Burr's doing a Comedy Central special. And then in 2009, I worked with him at the Comedy Connection. He was really cool. He said, "Tell the story about how you booked me for $25.
Oh, he told. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, he told you to
He
say
told me
that.
to say it when I introduced him, so I said that, and then he got up and he likes to imitate me and talk Italian, and hey, this guy, you want to do this gig, $25, you busted me up, you know. and then a few years later, I wound up getting kidney cancer, which thank God I beat.
Oh, wow.
I wound up going to Boston backstage with Bill Burr for like a half hour, and he had me sit backstage and watch the show. He was really cool. And
That's
then
awesome.
in 2017, he texted me and asked me if I would open for him at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom, 2,000 people, a show, 2 shows. That was like the most amazing night of my career, you know.
All right. So, what are some of the other comedians you work for? You work with? You said you worked with Lenny Clark. How was Lenny Clark to work with?
Yeah, it was funny. I hadn't worked with Lenny Clark. You know, I started in '91, and it was 2017. I hadn't worked with him, and I think I met him once or twice at the Comedy Connection. I hadn't worked with him, and then it all happened in a couple of month period. I wound up opening for Bill Burr. I wound up closing a show at the Friars Club in New York City. And then I wound up working 3 nights in a row with Lenny Clark. I had never worked with him, and then I worked with him 3 nights in a row. It was like surreal. It was crazy. He, like I said, phenomenal guy, hilarious act, and a real nice guy. It was a great weekend working with Lenny Clark. And I've worked with him since, but that was an amazing couple of months.
Didn't you work with him recently?
Yeah, I worked with him, she's October 17th. We had the Legends of Boston Comedy come to Warwick, Rhode Island, which is Steve Sweeney, Lenny Clark, Don Gavin, 3 of the big guys out of the Boston era. And I'll tell you, that was a phenomenal show. You had to be there. It was just absolutely hilarious. All 3 of them. The funny part was, before the show started, the Patriots were playing with Dallas. They go into overtime, so we can't start the show because everybody's all geared up about the game.
Yeah, no one's going to even pay
Steve
attention.
Sweeney's this big Boston comic, absolutely hilarious. He standing at the bar, he's got a hat on. He starts giving updates to the crowd on the game, and he's doing all these different voices. It was like, I wish I had it on tape. It was hilarious. Steve Sweeney's, he's been in like There's Something About Mary. Lenny Clark's been in that.
Who was he in?
He was
Something
in
About
a lot
Mary?
of other stuff. He
No,
was in,
no,
he-
in
he
Something
was a-
About Mary. What part did he play?
He was I think he was a police officer or a firefighter or something. Yeah, when
Stiller.
Ben Stiller got his
His Franks with the Franks and the Beans. He got his,
got his- and
his
the
balls,
zipper.
his ball,
I
one
believe
ball.
Lenny Clark and Steve Sweeney were there.
Oh, they were the cops that stuck their head in the window?
Yeah.
Oh, take a look at what this numbnuts did.
How'd this guy get his balls above the...
Yeah.
Oh, my...
So Steve Sweeney was giving a play-by-play of the game. It was just hilarious. And Lenny Clark, like I said, nicest guy in the world. Don Gavin's the other Boston guy. I saw him in the 80s. Hilarious. Just all of them, they're hilarious. Really, really a thrill to work with those guys, you know.
That's awesome. So now, tell the people what can they expect? What can they expect the night that you're going to be doing with us, December 17th night? Tell everyone what they can expect to see when they come, and it's your chance to get up there.
Well, I'm fast. I do a lot of one-liners. I interact with the audience. I may do a couple of jokes, go back to the audience. If I have a guy that's a good sport, I may get a lot of mileage. Or sometimes 1 or 2 or 3 people, if they're good sports and you're getting like big laughs off them.
You just hammer off them until
And if
they get
they're
mad.
laughing and they're not mad, if they get mad, you see somebody mad, I get away from them, and that doesn't happen often. But I usually get a guy, he's a good sport, this lady's a good, and I just kind of go around and I'll go back to this guy, and it just keeps getting laughs. Once I know, it's kind of like robbing a bank. If you know they leave all the vault open and I go in and take the money, you know what I mean? So once I'm picking on you and it's getting laughs, and I go back, it's getting laughs, well, I'm going to go back to you as much as I can. I may do my whole set, I may have 10 minutes on one guy.
Yeah, I saw you at one spot. You were like the look at this guy. You would pick some and be like, look at this guy looking like Prince, or I don't know, whatever the hell it was. It's funny because you catch people off guard. They're just like sitting there eating and drinking, and they're like, oh, well, oh, me? Oh, man. But no, I like that style of comedy. I think that's funny, man. Like I told you before, I've been doing that for free for my whole life, and the fact that you get paid to do that.
Well, you ask me what I'll do. I always tell people when I'm on stage, I have no act. I'm like a pickpocket. I've been doing comedy for 30 years, and so I have decent sets, make people laugh, and I say, honest to God, I don't really have an act. My act is kind of freestyle. I got set jokes and set things, but I come up, for instance, one night, I would like to ask couples where they met. This is a true story. I asked this couple at a show, where did you meet? And they told me they met at a wake. They were standing in line. This is honest to God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? They were in line at a wake, and they hit it off. And the next thing you know, they told me they were married 12 years. So then I came up with the idea. I said, you know, when I tell that story at the shows, and I'll say, well, I got an open marriage. I said, I hang around not a little funeral parlor. I walk around a martini, mingle with the ladies. I tell them I'll be here Tuesdays, 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. And that gets a laugh. And I just kind of throw stuff in like that. But I didn't write that joke. That was created in the audience. By me working, when you go in the audience, you find stuff out that you never know. Yeah. I would have never known they met at a wake. Now I found that out. Now I got a bit on that. And then in different things like that, that's how I really write from the stage. Kind of, it's different. I don't sit down and write jokes.
Harry Potter if you ate Richard Simmons. You got a stomach like me. You better watch out, kid. He farts, you're going off the wall.
Yeah, like I said, I've been trying to put together an act and trying to think of jokes, and then, like I told you earlier, I say them to my friend, a friend of mine, and she's like, no, that's probably gonna be offensive, and then like everything I said was possibly offensive, so I'm like, and then I kept thinking of you, and I could tell obviously you're freestyling if you're making fun of someone in front of you, you didn't know that person was gonna be there. And I was thinking maybe I should try that. I don't know, because I'm sitting there and trying to write things, and like, I guess another thing with that would be reading the room, like, because you can look at a room and be like, let me try a couple, and if they're not receptive to that,
It's funny. Sometimes I look at the audience, and sometimes I don't.
Wow.
I just go up and, and I'll look, and there'll be like, say, 4 older guys. I'll say, look at these guys. Look at these 4 guys. In sync. 50 years later. Boom, I came up with that one off the top of my head, and I got a laugh. So now if I'm at a show, there's 3 or 4 old guys, I say that, and it gets a laugh. So I didn't. So I come up with stuff off the top of my head. But now if that bit works, I put that in other shows. I remember it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and then you try, and then some nights I come up with something new off somebody, and I remember, like one night I asked the guy, "What do you do for?" He worked at Meals on Wheels. The guy was 500 pounds. So I said to him, I said, "What do you do?"
You eating the whole fucking.
I said, "What do you pull up in front of the guy's house? The guy's in a wheelchair looking out the window. You start eating his lunch." I said, "What the hell do you do? You work at Meals on Wheels. You're 600 pounds. How do you work at Meals on Wheels? How do you get in the Ford Pinto and try to deliver a meal to somebody?"
Yeah, he should get
You
a
know?
different job.
Yeah, so
It doesn't have to do with food.
But so and then I get something off that. So by working the audience, I really write from the stage. It's weird, but I got to retain. My mind's got to be like a computer.
Yeah.
Because if I bust you up about something, Ben, I got to remember why that worked. I got to remember.
Yeah, no, I like that.
I got to retain what I said to you that worked, and maybe I can use that next week at a party.
Yeah.
'Cause once it works, you know, hey, that works. You got to keep it. You know.
Yeah, I like
I don't
that.
have a notebook. It's all in my head. My act is all in my
No,
head.
like I said, like I sat there and tried writing shit, and I don't think it was working. So I think I'm just gonna have to book one of those open mics. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying that soon. I'll put it out there when I'm going to, and yeah, I'm just gonna try it. But I also have to stick with what you were saying, that if you bomb and you think you're gonna be good, keep going.
Yeah, you can't give up. You got to keep getting on stage.
Unless you suck, because there are some.
Well, if you bomb 20 times in a row,
Yeah, if you bomb 20 times, you're not good. Go work at McDonald's, go work at Walmart, whatever, swing a hammer, whatever you got to do. But yeah, you got to, and that's, yeah.
I say never give up. I tell all the comics, I don't care. Some of them, you never know who's gonna break out. You know, so I just stick with it. If you like doing it, don't ever quit. Even if you bomb 50 times, who knows? Maybe the 51st time you'll start getting hot.
I would love, you know what, I disagree a little bit. And maybe you're right, but I wonder if there's a guy, maybe there's a famous comedian right now that bombed that many times and then got it. That's a lot. Like, you bombed every time, 50 times, which is totally a possibility.
I've talked to comics, and they don't mention, they mention some comics names. Believe it or not, this guy, when they started, this guy went up and bombed this guy. And these are some big names.
Yeah.
People bomb. I mean, when you get into comedy, it takes a while to get, you got to do it, to get consistently funny, it takes time. It doesn't, some people come out of the box and they get it. I don't know, they're hot right away and they take off, but other people, it takes time. Me, it took time, little by little. Like I did a gig one time at a place, it was out of state. This is when I started, and I remember I wasn't on the list that night. It was an open mic, but the guy said, I can't put you up. And it was one of them nights, everybody was struggling, you know what I mean? The crowd, that was early. It was early in my career where I was in and all up and down. And that one night, the guy finally said to me at the end, hey, we got this guy here from Rhode Island. I was out of state, he thinks he's funny. So we're going to put him up.
That's how we introduced
and it was just one of them nights where it was the audience and the comics were connecting.
Oh, man.
Not that, you're not saying you're never better than these guys, just one of them nights where
Did you do good?
And I got up last, and I had to do 5-6 minutes or whatever. And I got up, and I did a little crowd because I was new, and I was busting some guy up, and the crowd was going crazy. And I looked at him like I'm ready to get off. He said, stay up, stay up.
Wow.
So that's when I knew, nights like that, I might have 3 bad nights in a row after that, but when you have a night like that, you got to remember that, okay, if you can do it, if you can make a room laugh for 5 minutes, 7 minutes or whatever, you can do it once, you can do it 1,000 times. But you got to figure out how to do it. How do I go back into that zone? That's the key. You may bomb, and you have them when you can do it one night, you can do it many nights.
Yeah.
But you can't give up. That's the whole key.
That's great advice to upcoming comics, man. That's what you need to hear. That's like a big purpose of my show, is interviewing people that are successful at the fields they chose and talking about what it took for them to get there, and just giving people inspiration with anything. And I feel like nowadays we live in such a negative and dark times where I think people need that more than ever, and they need to laugh too, you know? Like, laughing is huge. So yeah, man, I think we just gave everyone both of those, you know. So let's end it off with just tell everyone where they can follow you at, your website. What's the website again?
The best thing, the website, list our shows, got some videos on there. A lot of information is comedyfactoryri.com, comedyfactoryri.com. I have a John Perrotta's Comedy Factory page. I post some shows on there. They can go in there and like that page, and they'll get updates. I've got a regular Facebook page. I got Instagram. I put in the stories. I'm not good with this stuff, but I list, you know, I'll promote some different shows every day.
Is it true you still have MySpace?
Yeah, I never deleted the account. So there's one out there with me, yes, if you want to go to MySpace.
All right, well, you can
I don't know, I haven't been in it in years.
You can contact me on AOL Messenger later if you want to, so that's where you can follow me at. But all right, so yeah, any last words you want to tell them? Listen, I'm going to tell you, December 17th, make sure you're there. It's Skyline at Water Place. This guy is saying he's going to bust Jerry T's balls, so everyone wants to know.
A little bit.
There's going to be a line. We're going to see how close he's going to tiptoe up to the line, maybe go over, maybe go in the water, who knows. But make sure you're there. You got this guy, you got Brian Vincent, you got me and Jerry hosting, and it's going to be a great night. You can hit me up for tickets. You can hit Jerry up for tickets. And make sure you're there. You don't want to miss it. This guy is wicked funny. He does go into the crowd, and he tears everyone up, but not in a way that you're going to want to fight him. It's going to be just a good, funny event, and you don't want to miss it. So make sure you're there, and make sure you follow me everywhere. Make sure you follow him on MySpace and AOL Messenger, I guess. And that's it. It's your boy, Benny Blades, and I'm out.
You got some funny stuff. You're crazy.